and welcome to today's stream. I hope everyone has had a good week and is ready for the weekend, because it's basically here. It is lovely to be back, and I'm very sorry about Wednesday. It is one of those weeks that happen where I am feeling particularly drained, we should say, is a good allegory. So Wednesday and Thursday were a no-go, but today we are back and we're going to be working on some new characters. These are portraits for a piratical Warforged and I believe Fire Genasi monk on the right. I've got all the sketches kind of worked out for these two, and as you can see I've already started on some of the line art for the Fire Genasi. So I'm probably going to carry on with her first, and then we will move on to the Warforged after she is complete. Is probably going to be how we do this. So let's just get started. So I'm just going to turn down the opacity on the bits that are still a sketch, go back to the line art layer, and we're just going to basically start working from that. Thank you so much to Lana Sudin for the follow. I hope you enjoy the stream. Now, the brush I use for these portraits is slightly different to the brush I use for other aspects of my work. They came preloaded with my version of Photoshop, but if you Google them, I'm sure you'll be able to find them. They're called the Kai Ultimate set, and I used the first brush, which is the Kai Ultimate Hard Pencil Brush. I'm gonna beef it up to 15 for doing details such as hair and stuff. And we're gonna go from there. Hey, call me Kramer. Oh, thank you so much for popping by, and I hope you have a lovely weekend too. And hey, Sugar Crit, welcome. Sugar Crit, unless I'm much mistaken, you might well recognize some of these characters. Well, this one anyway. The other one is. Why am I painting it bright green? What is going on with my life? No green here. We just want a nice graphite color. Thank you very much. Oh, I haven't watched Black Sun. I haven't actually caught Critical Role yet, so no spoilers, but I'm very excited to watch the latest episode. I have to watch on Mondays. Mondays is like my special Critical Role day I set aside for it. Just gonna really lightly just suggest the edge of the hairline there, because we've got a bit of an undercut situation going on. Of course, being a Fire Genasi, the hair is also on fire. So that we will be contending with when we get to the rendering part. I'm sure we'll have fun with it. Oh, Sugar Crit, fantastic. Well, I thought I might as well get started on these anyway, because you said you had a bit of a hard deadline for like end of, towards the end of May, so I wanted to get to going on them. And also because the characters seem super fun, so, you know. Just getting all these little flamey wisps that will be coming off the hair as we render it. Very kind of Hades, I guess. As in Hades from the film Hercules rather than the video game. Which is very, very good, I hear, and I love the design work in it. So we're going to be doing lots of wiggly shapes, basically, to try to get lots of shape and movement into the hair as it kind of transforms from normal hair shapes into kind of wisps of flame. Like so. Hey Freya, good morning to you. Going to have some more of these wisps coming in from the sides as well. We don't want them all just to be coming from the top. Or it starts to lose some realism. Not that, you know, hair being on fire is necessarily the purview of realism, but it still makes it look a bit more balanced, I think. Some more little wispies there. We have a big one coming off there, I think. Some little bits coming off the top, like so. Kind of see there how it's shaping up. Oh, Sugar Crit, no worries at all. I know it's super difficult. We've got all that going on. The last thing you want to think about is invoices and money, so I totally understand needing to take a bit of time. Oh, quite Freya, that's a good day. I'm sorry you feel sick. I hope you feel better soon, but do take the time to chill and relax and feel better soon. That was me yesterday though. I was like, I thought about streaming, I was like, no, I can't, not today. I'm gonna have to do the equivalent of calling in sick from life. Okay, just remembering where all my sketch layers are. That will do for there. And then we basically got the hair is going to come around and bunch together in some ties. And then again it kind of tumbles down, bunches together again, and then flares out. Everyone needs a sick day once in a while. It's almightily true. Right, let's do these. Not really a fan of that bit. At the edges we want it to look more like flames than hair, which is why I'm going to be using a lighter touch in places. We almost want the top edge of the hair to be very ephemeral. We don't want it to look too thick. And when I get to actually doing the colours for the hair, we're going to be repainting the line art a lot. Basically, I'm going to move this up the top because I keep forgetting which layer is the sketch. Okay. So we're going to have another little flameo coming from down here. I'm really annoyed. I wanted to do some gardening this weekend, but the weather's just been so awful here that I don't think it's going to happen. It's just the pond that we're still in the process of emptying is absolutely full of rainwater, mud, pond goo. It's disgusting. And I don't possess any wellies, and neither does my partner, so... There we go, can I see that coming together now? Is this... Genasi. Elaran, that was a bit of a stretch, I mean... Alright, let's do these kind of tiebacks that are going on here. I want to do them as I'll go down to 12 because I kind of want to have a little braid type pattern to it. And when I'm drawing braids, as you can see, I start off doing a kind of a zigzag where I start each line from the middle of the next one. And then you just kind of go around the outside and connect them like this. And then sometimes you have to go in and tidy it up a little bit, but there we go. And then just add a few bits of hair there. Have the same thing coming across here. Just a slightly smaller one though, I think. The other one was a bit big. There we go. Okay, and then once again, we're just gonna do the bits of hair that are caught in this kind of bunching up style thing that's going on down here. There we go. This is probably a good time to line. She's got these lovely big leaf-shaped earrings, so we're gonna pop them in. Whoops, Photoshop just decided it would lag a bit there. Okay, and then we'll just go ahead and line those. I love like anachronistic characters like that. They just are really fun to play. There we go. And then we've got kind of the central vessel going down there. And then we're just going to suggest the little bits coming around the edges. And then we'll do the same with the leaf underneath. There we go. And again, the central bit. And then the little vessel coming off the side. And then we have the earrings. Then she's got one little stud just above where the dangly earrings come in. And then we're just going to do the tip of one of the other leaves on this side. Like so. And then we can carry on with the hair. So I'm going to go back up to the 15 and just basically carry on where we left off. Kind of going towards the bottom now, so we're going to have a few less flameos. Slightly more kind of bunched up tie there. I like doing kind of different hair tie styles, can be a bit of fun. Just a little couple of flames on this side, and then maybe one on that side, before we then basically just line the rest of the hair fairly normally, I think. Oops, I keep taking off the wrong sketch. Then we have a large kind of metal tie down the bottom. Which I believe has a little bit of patterning on, so I'm just going to basically hint at some kind of almost runic kind of patterns. Like so. And then finally the kind of tail part of hair comes down, and at the bottom where it gets really light, it almost kind of loses gravity as it changes to flames. And then I'm just going to tidy up a few of these lines. It's the thing when you're using very loose lines, you can end up with some nasty looking bits, but yeah, you just go in and tidy them up, it's not a big deal. Okay, there is some hair. Let's just pop in a couple more details, such as she's got a sort of neck bandana type thing that comes into a cloak. We're just kind of showing the top of the collar for now. Coming down around like so. You can see I'm kind of, when it comes to these portraits, like the sketch is very much just a guideline. I often don't completely stick to my sketches. Oh dear, it's fun day here. Oh yeah, worth mentioning, the VODs from last week should all be up on YouTube. If you, there are a few people who are asking about those, but they should all now be available. Okay, and there we go. There is the line art for this character. So what I think I will do is I will probably actually start doing her paintwork now. Yeah, because I like to get one finished before I move on to the next one. So making sure that's set to multiply, because that's what we need. Making a new layer. I'm just going to grab my reference so I can get the colours right. Boop boop. Okay, and we're going to start colouring this lovely character. Now, the character's skin is a very dark, kind of burgundy purple. So we are going to just gonna do a bit of whoops, Photoshop. Come on now, we don't want to play that game, do we? Might need to start a bit lighter and go darker as I paint, actually. So we'll start with this and see how it treats us. Yeah, I think that's a good starting point. So we're just gonna fill that right in. It's nice kind of chill shade of purple. Kind of that Coles vibe, because obviously the hair is going to be a very bright, fiery orange and red. trying to keep as close into the lines as possible, just to make our lives a little bit easier later on down the line. And then obviously we would have a bit of neck there, but it's been kind of hidden away by a combination of the earrings and the hair. So that's essentially our edge line for the neck. Oh, Side Perspective, thank you so much. Very, very kind. Oh, also, before I forget, just a little heads up, everyone who's been asking me lately about commissions. I'm going to have to delay opening commissions by a little bit. I've had quite a few emails come in the last couple of weeks about contract work, so I need to get all those sorted and work out my schedules before I know exactly how many commissions I can accept. At the moment, it's looking like this time I'm not going to be able to open commissions to non-patrons. It's a real shame, but I have just had so much overwhelming interest on the Patreon that I just physically can't take on too much work or I'll burn out. Which is a shame, but I'm really kind of controlling and hoping to keep a tight grip on how many commissions I take this time, so I'll be able to open much quicker again than I did last time. Because last time I did get a bit overwhelming, and I said yes to far too many people, which meant that I ended up with like 8-9 months worth of work at once to do. So I need to be a little bit more strict with sticking to my limited number of slots this time. Hey, Britblade VA, thank you so much for the sub. Thank you for joining me here as well today. Thank you so much. Lots of secrets. Yes, well, some of these hopefully won't have to stay a secret for too long. 2 of them are for Kickstarters, which will be popping off in the next few months. So those will come about fairly quickly. Very exciting stuff. Alright, we're nearly finished with just getting this outline in. Bits like the hairline here, you don't need to be quite so careful because this will undoubtedly need chopping about later anyway. Oh, excuse me. So I'm just going to fill in these spaces and then go in with a large brush and tidy up all these areas where the fill tool has left these nasty white lines behind. Because we don't want those. They do not look nice. Okay, and bottom bit. Okay. That is satisfactory. Okay, so with the base skin tone down, a little bit of opacity gone up there, let's just get that in. With the base color for the skin tone in place, the next thing to do is make sure that that is locked up there. That's the lock transparent pixels, or the alpha lock. The next thing to do is to do the kind of blush eye mask area, which is almost always the first thing I do when I start kind of shading the face. I take a color that's slightly more saturated and ever so slightly darker than the base skin tone, and I start off by basically painting a triangle shape where the nose is, kind of like an Animal Crossing character. Thank you so very much to Yonch and Gianna for the follow, and also to Ian Leroy. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the stream. Next, grabbing a really big brush, about 400 at the scale I'm working, we're just going to add this blush, kind of raccoon mask style shape on the face and the cheeks. And this just brings a little bit of variety to the tone of the face. And once that's in there, we're going to eyedrop kind of between those two colors and just make sure that it's nicely blended in. Like so. And just do a little bit more up here in the eyebrow. But it gets to a point where I can barely tell the difference between two colors. It's harder. The more tired my eyes are, the harder it is to actually see what I'm doing. But that looks okay. Oh dear, the spam bots are trying to be bad, are they? Well, sucks for them that Nightbot has been trained to filter them out. Anyway, next thing to do is we need to start adding some actual shading. So I'm gonna grab once again, a color slightly darker than what we've just used for the shading, the blush that is. Thank you so much to Geek Unleashed for the follow, hope you enjoy the stream. And then the very first thing we're gonna shade is the inner corners of the eyes. Fairly light touch here, we just kind of want to create the shadow with that kind of bit, like, it's really hard to see because I've got glasses on so I can't really show you. But where it kind of goes towards the bridge of the nose, you get a lot of shadow in there. So we are just gonna blend it out on the outside edge, and then going down to a smaller brush, we're basically just gonna fill in the eyelids. There we go, like this, and the other one. And then I'm just going to slightly darken the other side of that eye because that side of the face is in slightly more shadow. And there we go, there's the first stage of shading on the eyes. Oh, Latia! Thank you so much for dropping by. Hope you're having a good day. It's lovely to have you here. And hey, Geek Unleashed, yeah, curious, do I hand paint miniatures at all? I do. I haven't done any miniature painting in a little while because a lot of my minis are still packed up in moving boxes. But do we have anything in here that I've unpacked? Sadly, I don't think I do. But yeah, I have quite a fair collection of Idoneth Deepkin Warhammer miniatures that I have painted about 3 of, and now they're packed away, and it's really hard to summon motivation to paint the rest of them. I will do it eventually, maybe one day. But I also have painted quite a lot of D&D miniatures, but in these pandemic times, you can't really do in-person D&D, so it's not really worth having. Ugh, hair in my face already. Here I thought I might escape that today. Just going to push that back a little bit, that shadow on the lips. And then, whilst I've still got this lighter colour in hand, I'm just going to add the highlight diamond on the nose. Just fill that in. There we go. And then we can continue with shading. Gosh, this is really tickling my nose. It's right in a tickly spot. Usually we get a little bit of shadow in the corner of the lips, like so. Can add quite a bit of depth just to that area. And then we're going to take this colour and just slap a big shadow under the chin. Like so. Oh, no, I'm gonna have to adjust my headphones because the nose tickles are just getting too painful. Ugh. Yeah, the Deepkin are really cool. I do want to finish painting them one day. It's true. Oh no, Qualifreya, that's the worst. The last minute D&D cancels are always very sad. It actually happened to me this week as well. But, you know, DM needed to take some personal time to sort some stuff out, and that's always more important. Always gotta prioritize the real life things. But yeah, it is super sad when you have to miss a session. Alright, just adding a little bit of shading on the ears now. Again, at this point, I'm not going too heavy. I do like the school of thought that Genasi also have elven pointy ears. All my Genasi have always had pointy ears. Alright, it's time to move on to the next darkest shade for the shadows. Once again, just stepping a little bit darker than what we had before. We can now use this colour with a small brush to add some dark just in the very centre, kind of the very deepest parts of these shadows around the eyes. I'm just going to have some deep shadow coming from the corners of the eyelids, like so, and on the other side. Kind of similar to like when you structure how you layer your colours doing makeup as well, to be honest. Then going to just add a tiny bit of the dark shadow under the nose and the lips. Just a subtle bit on those two places. Oh, a double no show. Oh dear. Hopefully you get to play your next session. I'm hoping I'm able to run mine next week. Fingers crossed. Sometimes I do blend a little bit on the net between the two shadow colours. Sometimes it could just look a little bit better that way. And then of course we need to bring this dark shadow into the inner ear. And any areas of the neck that are much shadowier. I'm not putting a lot of shadow under where the hair is, because obviously the hair is going to be kind of creating a faint light source of its own. Oh, once again, just going to try and pin my hair back behind my headphones. But yes, because we're going to have quite fiery hair, we don't want to go overboard with it. Okay, so with the skin fully shaded, the next thing I'm going to do is the lips. Lips, we're on characters that aren't really wearing makeup, you can do lips quite simply. I'm just going to push slightly towards pink and saturate it a tiny bit more. I often use the same tone as my darkest shadows to shade the top lip. I'm going to type that up in a minute. Gosh, these headphones do not fit my face. Just filling in that whole area like so. Tiny bit of tidying up just there. And then for the bottom lip, we are going to be taking a slightly lighter shadow tone. I'll probably fill in this. Oops. Sometimes Photoshop does this thing where if I touch really lightly, it just leaves this massive blob shape. It's really annoying. Hey Unicorn Dude, welcome. I hope you enjoy the stream. I'm just going to fill in the rest of this lip, leaving a tiny bit of space against the line art on that side, because I'm just going to blend a little bit there to make it a little bit more gentle. And then, oh, thank you so much to Touch My Pigeon for the follow. We have a enjoy the stream. I'm going to add a tiny bit of shadow coming from the top lip. And then, of course, we do want to blend that in. Like so. And then we can go ahead and add some highlights too. There we go. Just a little bit of highlight there. And then I'm also just going to really gently kind of suggest the teeth behind the lip. Like so. There we go. And then it's time to work on the eyes. Now this character has rather fascinating eyes. I'm just going to try and zoom in on the picture I've been given. Ooh, lovely. Yes, I thought so. So we've got some very cool eyes here. They are like a very kind of dark rusted red in the background where the sclera would normally be white. So we're going to start with that. And same on the other side. And then we need to introduce some shadows. So what we're going to do is, because we've got kind of purple surrounding, the shadows are also going to be a little bit purpley. So, selecting our, that needs to be darker than this. I experiment with shadows quite a lot, as you can tell. We are just going to add some nice deep shadows for the corners of the eyes. Grab a sort of intermediate color just to blend a tiny bit. I don't blend a ton in this style because it is a slightly simpler style, but you still kind of want to blend a little bit if you can. And then finally, I'm just going to add a slightly brighter red as you get towards the center. All right, now for the irises and the pupils. I am missing, well, I kind of miss having my haircut, but it wouldn't really help because I'm trying to grow out a fringe. Right, so the irises we have for this character are amber with like a cat style pupil. So for amber eyes, I usually start with a dark kind of orangey hue. So I'm just going to fill in the iris in totality before I then make a new layer on top of these two. You can kind of see how that's coming along a little bit further away. I'm going to grab a really dark color, almost black. I never use true black. to pop in the pupil. So it's kind of that diamond cat eye shape. There we go. And then I'm going to slightly enlarge the brush just to create a bit of shadow that kind of blends the iris in with the area above it. And then we can start brightening these eyes up. Yeah, quite fair. I had like quite a nice fringe and now it's just everywhere and it's impossible to control and it's a small nightmare. But I want to see if I can get my hair longer again, so I must deal with it. My hair usually starts breaking when it gets to a certain length, but I've been using like actually decent products, so I'm hoping it's a bit stronger now and not as prone to death. So basically just going in now with a brighter color at the bottom of the iris. What I'm gonna do is yeah, we are going to lighten up the edges of the iris itself by just painting directly over the line art because we can. And it helps the eyes look a little bit softer. Let me just grab that light yellow. Again, just tease it a little bit closer to the edges. Do the same on this side. Yeah, that's the thing. Hair is a lot happier if you don't wash it all the time. I wash mine like every other day because if I don't, it just goes super greasy in no time at all. And that just won't do when you've got to stream twice a week. Or in my case, once a week this week. But one of my favorite things to do is putting my hair in rags, which is really fun. I try not to use kind of hot curlers or straighteners on my hair much, but putting your hair in rags can be really fun. Alright, let's add a bit more brightness. We're really kind of getting up to that nice golden yellow now. So, small brush. Putting like almost like a border around the inner part of the eye itself. And then what I'm gonna do is just kind of have it coming out like so. And a little bit stronger on the other side than on the right. It sometimes is quite good to kind of add some asymmetricality to eyes like this. There we go. And then finally, the last thing we're going to do is grab a really pale, almost white, again, not completely white, and slightly big brush. We're going to add some eye shine. And there we have some nice bright eyes. I'm going to do something else with them, but first I do want to pop in the eyebrows. Now this character has, interestingly, got very dark eyebrows, in contrast to the hair. It's kind of a similar tone to the colour of the Undercut, so we're going to start with this dark kind of red and go from there. And see where it takes us. And don't forget to say thank you very much for the reminder. I usually stream twice a week. I usually stream on Wednesdays and Fridays, like today. This week I couldn't stream on Wednesday because I had to pick my partner up after work. And obviously usually I stream at 5 PM, which is exactly when he's picking up. But that was more of a one-off thing. I was going to stream yesterday, but I've also been quite ill this week. So it was not in my best interest to stream yesterday. But most of the time I stream twice a week. And I would stream more, but it is surprisingly exhausting. It and also takes quite a lot of concentration to kind of be able to hold a conversation and work on stuff at the same time. So usually when I'm streaming, I'm working on obviously commissions. I have a lot of contracts that have non-disclosure agreements, so I can't obviously work on those on stream. And oh, Sugar Crit, thank you so much. That's very, very kind. And this character's, been really fun to paint, so. Alright, just just gonna add a little bit of highlight on these brows. Like so. Alright, and then we can do the last thing I wanted to just have a mess around with before we move on to the hair. I want to play with making these eyes glow a little bit because eye glow is really fun. Yeah, I mean I can be very productive in streams, honestly. It's just that sometimes I need to get certain things done in a week, like if I have a deadline for an NDA thing, which can make streaming a little bit more difficult. Okay, so I'm gonna try blurring out this little bit of light I've added. Just a bit. So there we have some fiery, glowing eyes for this character. It is almost a shiny Slayer, isn't it? It's nearly, but not quite. Yeah, that's the thing with the tablet. The cursor is jumping all over the place. Sorry about that. But Shulkrit, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have a lovely afternoon and best of luck with your new TV. Very exciting. Okay, next thing to do is finally the... Oh, I was going to start the hair and then I just thought I should probably do these earrings first. Sorry, we're going to have to wait to do the hair because I want to do these earrings. Now these earrings are gold. So we are going to start with a dark orange. This is usually how I start when I'm rendering gold. This should do. And I will quickly take you through my process of rendering metal textures while we're here. So obviously, as usual, just starting with popping in a base layer for the colour. Nope. Over there. And just fill that in. And then obviously tidying up those edges. Okay, so once we've got our full area of colour, oh, Sugar Crit, thank you, it's very, very kind. We want to make sure that area is locked, and then we start working up through the spectrum of colours that you can find in gold. So next we're going to grab a kind of a burnt rusty colour, a little bit brighter than our base, and we are just going to pop that in all the areas where light is going to be hitting, which is most of the surface area of the top leaf. And then obviously the side of the leaf below. And then this is where we're going to jump up to the shinies layer, which is kind of also just overlines at this point, where we are going to grab, again, going up gently through the spectrum, our next colour, which is a proper gold colour. And we are going to just size down our brush a little bit for this. And with this, we're going to be doing a bit more outlining. And then you kind of gently can fill in some of these areas. As we're just kind of bringing in the bright metallic kind of parts of the gold. And the gold is going to be stronger near the top as well. And then you're going to do the same on the other side. I'm just going to fill in the little bangle bit there, and then we'll just do the same on the layer below. Not quite so strong as the layer on top, because obviously this one's in a bit more shadow. Okay, you can see how it's coming together. And then I'm just going to size down the brush a bit to do the stripe going right down the middle. And finally, we are going to grab the lightest bit and add those really bright points, which really, again, bringing home that metallic texture. And then get a little bit on this lower leaf, but not too much. And then what I might do in some bits want to have a bit more heavier bright golds. We'll put that on there. And then I'm going to grab the almost white, almost the same color we use as for the shiny in the eyes. And just add that in a few key areas. And it can be quite useful as a desaturated highlight as well. But there you go. There are some golden leaf earrings. And next thing to do will be to do the other one on the other side of the face. So grabbing that base color again, just going to pop over here. Oops. And again, I often find the trick to getting nice metallics is to do a lot of the rendering above the line art, because I don't know, when the light kind of bleeds over the edges of your line art, it for some reason it does really help with that metallic feel to it. I'm just going to do this little stud as well while we're here. This will be quite a lot faster. And finally, there we go. Oh, I am the worst fidget when I'm working. Okay, let's save again, now that's done. And the next thing I want to do is the undercut. I'm actually going to keep this on the same layer as the earrings just to kind of conserve how many layers I'm making. So I like to keep, with hairstyles like this, I like to keep the undercut and top layers separate. Let's grab a slightly smaller brush just for going up to these edges. I think I know how I'm going to do the main body of hair. I'm pretty sure I've got an idea for it. It's going to be a little bit improv, because everything I do seems to be quite improvised. But I'm hoping it turns out nice. Alright, so with that layer down, I'm just going to add a quick bit of shading. I'm going to do it with my favourite hairbrush. I talk about it all the time. It is the Lewin Fur Brushes set. Again, just Google that word there and you should be able to find it on Gumroad. Do please throw some coins towards the artist. I believe it's on Pay What You Want, because it's a wonderful brush and makes hair rendering lovely. The Geek Unleashed. The best place to contact me is my work email address, which you can find on my Twitter profile. I will just add a quick link in chat. At the moment, I probably can't take on any more any more extra work because I have a lot of projects going on and I want to make sure I give them all the time that they deserve. An artist's worst enemy is taking on more than they can chew, and I don't want to put myself in that situation. But that being said, in the next few months I should have more availability. Right, just as say, adding a simple bit of shading up here. I'll add ever such a slight bit of highlight as well. Again, based off of the colours we've used already in the eyebrows. There we go. And then what I am going to do is just train back some areas of the hairline. As you can see, some of these lines aren't the neatest. There we go, that's a lot better. Okay, and now I believe it is time to tackle the hair properly. Oh, Geek Unleashed, yeah, sure, absolutely. In which case, by all means, I'm getting my phrases mixed up. But yes, absolutely do get in contact via the email address on my Twitter. That would be wonderful. Okay, let's start this hair or we'll never get it done. I'm going to grab a starting colour based off of colours I've used elsewhere. It can help kind of tie a piece together more if you're not adding brand new tones every time you're adding a new area of colour. If you can derive it from colour that already exists elsewhere in the image, it can create a slightly tighter colour scheme. Anyway, I'm just going to start by filling in all of the hair. That's probably as much as I'll get away with that big brush. So now it's time to go in with the smaller brush and just start painting it all in. Thank you so much to Lustrix and JB140 for the follows. I hope you enjoy the stream. I'm not going to do the wispy bits just yet. I'm just going to do all of these slightly larger areas first. And yes, doing the base layer for hair is probably one of the most tedious parts of the process, but it must be done. Oh, Jibby, I love art too. Art's great. Okay, let's fill in all these wispy bits. Moving along, let's do this one. Whee. It's quite nice doing the wiggly shapes sometimes. But then, of course, I do end up having to tidy them up as well. Okay. Again, yeah, this bit does take a little while, so I apologize. It's all a bit samey. But hey, you're getting through it. Alright, now for the kind of bunched part of the hair down here. Which music track is this one currently? Let me tell you. This song is called Chance, and as always, it is by the delightful Kai Engel. There you go, there's a link to the music. I believe the album the song is in is called The Run, I think? It's quite a good track. It's one of the more kind of cyberpunky ones. I wish I could post a gif of the guy from the Iron Giant with the kind of the art face, because it's one of my favorite gifs ever. Oh, there we go. It took a little while. Yeah, I've had a few issues with Discord lately, so I'm really sorry anyone who's kind of been unable to see some of the Discord stuff. Seems that Discord's had some issues on their end, and it seems that they just kind of resolve after a few days. But yeah, it's been a bit weird lately. And don't forget to say thank you very much for the reminder, because I had not saved since I did the eyes. And I would not like to lose all the hair bits, because hair bits is boring. I wouldn't want to have to do it again. Yeah, I have no idea what was going on with Discord. Like, I get locked out of it as well sometimes. I just kind of have to wait until it lets me in again. Okay, I'm tempting to do this like I do a lot of my base layers, which is just to do the outline and then fill it in, because it's really slow otherwise. Ultra zoomed in as we go around all these fiddly bits. I wouldn't like to pull my hair out, it's true. That's not something I want to do right now. Yeah, it does seem kind of quite flaky at times, but all right, I'm gonna go around this bit and then just join up with where I started, so I can just fill all this in and move on. Bonk. Let's just tidy up the nasty lines it leaves behind. I am a little bit terrified with how I'm gonna render this, but I think it's going to involve a lot of adjustment layers to get all that kind of light effect looking all nice. done with this bit. Okay, now for just the end. The end section. Hey, Liberi Arcano! I am doing well, thank you. Better than yesterday. Still quite crampy, but chill enough to stream. And we're almost done with the most boring part of the whole process, which is great. And then it's just fun stuff after that. Hey, Lazef, welcome! I feel like it's been ages, but it's probably just about been a week. Lovely to have you here, as always. Let's just fill that in. Yeah, it's been a pretty wild few weeks. The house progress has kind of stalled until it stops pouring with rain every single day. I think we all kind of forgot we were in the UK for a week. We had a lovely heat wave a few weeks ago, and now it's just reminded us by having solid pouring with rain and like high winds for the past week or 2 weeks. Which means we can't empty the pond. It's just there, filling with water and becoming a pond again. It is not a Durgar woman, actually, although I did recently paint a Durgar woman with a very similar colour scheme. She is a fire Genasi. And welcome, Upgrade. Thank you so much for joining me on stream. I hope you enjoy it. Sorry it's not a Durgar this time, but you can pretend it's a Durgar with her hair on fire. Oh, Lisa, thank you so much. She's been a lot of fun to paint. This particular bit's taken a little while because the hair is really fiddly and has quite a lot of detail this time. But we're almost done with that part, so you've joined at a good time. Yeah, there's not enough good art of Durgar. Especially that doesn't make them look really stereotypical villains. I quite like Durgar, I think they're quite interesting. Okay, last tiny little wisp of hair, and then we can just fill in the rest. Bonk. Okay, there we go. The hair is finally all filled in. Fantastic. Yes, I do pay commissions. Tragically, it's been a nightmare to try and sort out. I am very busy at the moment. But that being said, I will be opening commissions soon. I can't promise exactly when. I know I was going to do it this week, but I had, of course, as things do, I had some inquiries for some contract stuff come in last week. So I need to take a little bit longer to work out my schedules, work out exactly how much commission stuff I can take on before I go kind of commit to anything, because I don't want to overpromise, if that makes sense. And burn out. I don't want to burn out or overpromise, because that does bad things for me and the client. Second doubly, this is the problem. I have no money either. It's eaten by rent, which is why I must charge money for art. Okay, that's the first. We've got another little tie up here, so let's pop that in now too. We'll do this one, and the one at the bottom is like a solid gold hairpiece, so I'm gonna leave that for now. Okie dokie, let's begin. So the first thing I do when I'm working on this kind of hair is essentially we are going to make sure the alpha lock is on. Then we are going to grab colours that are lighter and darker than what we have just been using. So in the case of this character, we're going to grab a slightly darker orange, and we are going to use that in particular areas to introduce a bit more shading. And then we're going to grab a much brighter gold tone and use that in areas of light, which in this case is especially going to be true where the wispy bits are. And there will be more to it than this as we go along, but I'm trying to keep it fairly simple to start with. It's going to add some deeper and pinkier shadows in a few places. I'm going to stick a Gaussian blur in it all to make it soft and give us a sort of gradient to work with. Oops. Alright, and now we've got this nice kind of gradient going on. The next thing to do is make a new layer on top. We're going to keep it clipping mask, and what we're going to do is set it to multiply. And I think I'm going to try doing it this way around. We're actually going to fill in the entire layer with a very pale pink, which will darken all of the hair to give us this sort of effect. And once we've done that, we can actually start the rendering process. So what I'm going to do is I set the paint color to white. I'm going to go back to the brush I used earlier, this lovely kind of rendering brush. Oh, and yes, Liberty Arcano on the left is a Warforged, which I don't draw very often. And that's who I would be working on next, depending on when I finish this one. But yes, with our white brush in hand, we can now go in and remove the shadow tone from everywhere that is in the light, basically. And this process can be very chill. I really enjoy rendering hair. It's one of my favorite things to do in the art process. I used to hate it. Painting hair was one of my least favorite things in the entire world. And then I just kind of eventually got the hang of it. Just because it takes a very long time. Hair especially, because it has so much movement, and it's obviously comprised of so many tiny strands that you need to develop your own kind of technique for handling it without having to paint every last flipping strand, because that drives me crazy doing that. So I treat hair like it's in clumps rather than individual kind of bits, if that makes sense. Again, just adding all these highlights. We don't want the darkness to be too heavy because, again, this is fiery hair, so it's going to need to be quite a lot brighter in the end of the day. But I have some other tricks I'll be using to achieve that. Thank you so much to Tobziga. I hope I said that right, but thank you for following. And yeah, we're basically just going to carry on this gentle rendering process all the way down. And thank you so much to Pixel Linguistic for following as well. I hope you enjoyed the stream. And yeah, Liberty Arcano, I didn't know half of the canon D&D kind of playable races when I started out. Like, you could probably still surprise me with some of them. I'm only just getting up to date with the new Unearthed Arcana. I am currently building a new character, a Dampire, using the kind of gothic lineages UA they brought out a few weeks ago. I thought I wouldn't really use it, but then I realized I could port my VTM character into D&D, and I'm really into VTM right now, so that's what I'm currently doing. Also, I know that watching the new Castlevania that just dropped will put me in a very vampire state of mind. So, probably going to start watching that tonight. We just finished watching Shadow and Bone yesterday, which was also really good. So we're starting Castlevania today. Probably, maybe, I don't know, depends. Okay, so add a little bit over here as well. Yeah, Shadow and Bone was very good. I'd never read the books, so I didn't know what to expect. And I'm usually quite skeptical when it comes to kind of the adapted young adult novel TV shows. Mostly because I find them quite painful to watch. Because I have my own kind of sets of triggers and stuff. But I thought Shadow and Bone was really good. It handled a lot of things very respectfully. and I really enjoyed it. It was a really good romp with lots of twists, cool fantasy stuff, and kind of exactly what I needed. Alright, last bit of hair to do this first layer of rendering with. We're just going to... Obviously the bits that come and bulge out of the hair tie have quite a lot of light on them, and then as they then kind of fold over and go under more bits of hair, they then lose that light and become in shadow. It's kind of just a matter of getting an idea for how things flow when it comes to rendering hair. And then it turns into fire hair anyway, so I don't know, you know, there's only so much realism you can really attempt. Okie dokie. So that is our first layer done. It is now time to add just a little bit more shadow here and there. We're going to grab a slightly darker pink colour, and with the same rendering brush, we're just going to go in, especially in places like the hairline where it comes from the skin. Obviously it's going to be a bit cooler, so we allow a bit more shadow in there. Bits that are really overlapped or kind of caught under other bits, obviously going to have more shadow in them. Bits that are shadowed by the ears or the hair ties, they are also going to be more heavily shadowed. It's going to make this a bit darker. Again, coming out from beneath the ties. Ooh, it does make your wrist ache after a while though. Same down here, and then finally just doing the last bit. There we go. Okay, let's just save again before Photoshop crashes and we lose everything. So the next part is to start making this a little brighter and a bit more fiery. So what I'm going to do, we're going to go back down to that first layer where it all began. Where are we? The sequence of how I want to do things here is... no, I'm going to take a different angle. Changing my mind constantly. We're going to go to the line art instead. Grab a fairly light pink, and we're going to recolor the line art first. Usually I do this last, but in this case I'm doing it first, and with more kind of attention to the edges where the flames are wisping off. And as you can see, it basically makes the line art a lot less harsh and makes it look more like flames if you color it in this kind of pink color near the edges. So that's kind of what I'm doing around here as well. So with that done, I can do what I want to do, which is a new layer. I'm going to do it above all of this, set to this time overlay, and we are going to grab a much brighter, I'll probably change the colour, but for now it's bright yellow. And what we're going to do is just paint around the edges of the hair. Just really roughly, you don't need to do this neatly at all. But yeah, so like this, and then we are going to add a blur onto it, like so, and it's just going to give the whole area of the hair a lot more kind of heat and this fiery look to it. And that's kind of how you are going to paint fiery Genasi hair. That's kind of how you do it. The last thing I'm going to do with the hair is I'm going to go back up to our favourite layer, the overlines layer. I am going to colour grab from the brightest part of the hair I can find, and then just go even lighter to add a little bit of highlight. In just a few key places. really make it quite like pop and shine. Thank you so much, Cloud455, and to Little Person 616 for the follows. I hope you enjoy the rest of the stream. Just adding a bit of this light down these edges as well, especially on the little wisps of flame. I mean, it would be pretty cool to be born with fire hair. There is that. Okay, so there is the hair. There's a few more things I want to give some attention to, mainly these hair ties, and we've got this gold clasp at the bottom. So, obviously the light on these hair ties is going to be strongly affected by its surroundings, which are obviously glowing orangey yellow. Thank you as well to Arian for the follow. Thank you so much. So on the overlines layer, which I believe is up here, yes, just going to add some little highlights onto the kind of straps tying the hair aside. And same on this one. These don't need to be terribly detailed, they're very zoomed in now. These details will be a little bit lighter when we're zoomed out. Okay. And finally, we will deal with this little fellow down here. And we're going to render them in much the same way that we did the earrings, just a tiny bit more saturated. So, zooming right in. Just going to fill in this area. This is kind of clipped to the hair layer, which is why I'm not going outside the lines, even though I'm still kind of painting in that area. Okay, then grab slightly darker color, just for some extra shadow. Okay, and then we are going to grab this lighter orange. I'm going to now start working on, again, the overlines layer. And use that to start rendering. And we're going to be careful to go around these nice little runes. Like so. A little bit on the side here. And this again is some more when it comes to rendering kind of cylindrical metallics, you kind of want to have bands of light and dark going vertically across the cylinder, rather than treating it like a soft object. Okay, now we've got the gold. We can start being a little bit more selective about where these lights and shadows take hold. Sometimes it is worth going up to a light brush and just dolloping some color over the whole thing, like so. And then finally, we're going to grab a really pale light for the metal, have that coming down here. And the light almost pulls in blob-like shapes sometimes to get the kind of effect that you want. So don't be afraid to use some nice blobby brushes. And there we go. There is the nice metallic lower kind of clasp on the hair. And the final step is going to be to do the top of the mantle that she's wearing. Thank you so much to ExoCephoExo for the follow. I hope you enjoyed the stream. So for the final section, the final little bit down here, I believe it's kind of like a creamy color. So we'll grab a kind of off-white cream. This is where my computer gets a bit slow because it's like, you've got too many layers, calm down. And we're just gonna fill in this little kind of scarfy top area. It's part of a larger cloak, but for the purposes of the portrait, we're just gonna be showing this area. Oh, an excellent point, Elleran. We should definitely save. We do not want to lose all of our progress here. Okay, wonderful. I'm just going to make this color a little bit more muted. There we go. And now we can shade. So as usual, new layer, clipping mask, multiply. I'm actually going to start numing some of these together. We're going to merge that down. We're going to merge that down. yeah. Just, you know, so we've got so many layers clogging up the processor. Then my usual shading color, the very pale pink, we're going to grab, fill in that entire space, and very much like before, take a white brush and remove the shadows where the light will find. And again, all this sort of stuff, I only really learned how to do through a lot of kind of copying and using references. It's a very gradual process. Okay, we're just gonna kind of blend in some of these kind of shadows. There we go. And then finally, back to that overlines layer, I think it's layer 8, we will go ahead and add a little bit of highlight. Rebel, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a lovely afternoon. Take care. That came out sounding a little bit malicious for some reason, but do take care. And again, just some little highlights around and about. Like so. And there she is. She is almost done. There's a few more things I want to do. I'm going to take us back to the line art here, making sure again that the alpha is still locked. I'm going to once again take a kind of a middle ground pink this time and use that to paint over the line art that we haven't painted over yet. I'm going to leave the eyes because it helps to keep the eyes nice and dark. But having now painted over the rest, we are going to grab, wait, where are the, okay, so the Warforged should not be in the middle of all these layers. Let's put him at the bottom. We'll grab all of the layers for the Genasi together. I'm going to make a new layer clipped over the top, set to overlay. Ooh, I will adjust my headphones because they hurt my ears. Thank you very much to Trainer Clado for following. Then we're going to grab a nice fairly bright color. Any color would really do, but for this character I think the kind of peachy gold is appropriate. Then, oh, Photoshop's going slow now. We are just going to add a little bit of a backlight on this here side. This is just going to go gently over one side of the face. It'll go around the edge of her scarf. And then we'll have a little bit of it coming through on the nose, just highlighting kind of the bridge area. There we go. Actually, I'm going to remove that bit down here. Let's tidy it up a little bit. And there she is, our lovely Fire Genasi monk, I believe, in the flesh. And she's come out pretty well. So I'm going to save again so we don't, as I say, lose everything we've been doing. And we're just going to get started lining this fabulous piratical Warforged over here. I'm going to gather that into a group and I'm going to hide it. It's gone. Purely because it means the computer will chug a bit less without that, all those layers there visible, slowing it down. So I'm just going to merge the sketch layer together so it's all one layer, turn the opacity right down, and we'll just do a little chill bit of line work on this chap to wind down. And we've got the cool film noir music for this chap, so... when I'm lining, again, I usually start with a grey that's about 2/3 down the side. And we're going to start with a 14 and see how that goes for us. And again, I'm using the Kyle Ultimate pencil brushes because they are fantastic, and I highly recommend them. Warforged have these really interesting mouth structures where they almost have this sort of cat-like or mustache mouth. I don't know how to refer to it, but it's quite interesting. Yeah, a lot of my my personal campaigns are very homebrew. Not so much in the mechanical sense. I tend to keep my rules and my playable stuff to the actual, well, not necessarily the rules, but to official material. But I've done quite a lot of world building in the past. At the moment, I'm kind of using a homebrewed version of the Wildmount setting for my Rime of the Frostmaiden campaign. I have done world building and built entire worlds in the past, but I've kind of just let them quietly die off because I want to start again with a lot of my custom stuff, which I will do one day. But world building takes so much time and effort, and I love the Wildmount setting well enough, so I'm happy to use that in my games. Yeah, Meowstache. That's exactly what it is, Elaran. Thank you. For once we are in agreement. Because it is certainly a Meowstache. Warforged is so funny. I'm not used to drawing characters like this. They even have a similar kind of muzzle structure to cats. I wonder if the person who originally did Warforged art really liked cats. Okay, and we've got the eye kind of socket area here. I kind of, when I'm doing Warforged, I treat them like a cross between obviously the D&D Warforged and also the EXO from Destiny 2 or Destiny 1, whatever. I really love EXO and I really like their lore and I find them a really interesting take. I find it more interesting than the usual Warforged, so it's usually what I kind of spec Warforged as in my games. Okay, we're kind of making progress. I think we'll do the top part and then the bottom part. And this Warforged is basically a pirate of some sort, so they've got a cool bandana on. And you can see their brows disappearing into the bandana there. And then obviously we've got kind of the smooth cranium coming around the side, and then I've given them a sort of, kind of a similar haircut to the Fire Genasi actually, a sort of metal braided undercut. They've got a lot of kind of piping and tubing coming up. The commissioner kind of, in the reference materials they sent me, really liked the idea of them having like this braided metal piping for hair, so it's quite a cool idea that we ran with. So we're going to add lots of that in. Lots of detail there. This is quite a detailed character. But yeah, I think someone in stream last time was asking if I did many Warforged, so here is your example. And then I want some of these to look almost like winch cables, so I'm going to put a slight kind of crisscross texture on this one. And we'll do this one as well, why not? Because varying up your textures is big and clever. There we go. Cool, now we can kind of work down and through the rest of the head. So we've got the next structure coming down here, which is then kind of cut off by the edge of the beard coming down, so we'll pop that line in there. And then, yeah, we'll kind of just work through coming down until we meet these bits of hair. We've got almost like a separate plate for the chin, like this little rectangle. Painting constructs is hard, you know? And then we've got hair coming in all around here. So yeah, we'll probably just start lining that in, going left to right. And the one way this is going to differ quite a lot from painting normal hair is because these hairs are all kind of almost like metallic cables. They all need to maintain a similar diameter all the way down, which means we need to try and keep these lines fairly parallel. It doesn't need to be perfect, but we want to keep it fairly clean. As you can see, some of them are braided. He's got like this cool, almost dwarven style beard going on. So that'll be coming down from about there. And then we've got the edges of the cables as they kind of cross over each other. What did the Genasi say to the Warforged? I don't know. What did the Genasi say to the Warforged? Alright, then we have all the cables are going to meet, be kind of tied off with just probably a bit of whatever he had string in his pocket at the time. Oh dear. If anyone's watching the VOD on YouTube, I've just been barraged by bad jokes. I like them secretly though. Okay, can see how he's shaping up. I can feel my stomach rumbling. It's definitely nearly dinner time. Just gonna show one of the ends of a cable there, just looking quite like little metal worms. There we go. And I want to also put that kind of cross hatching on some of these as well. Because we want to kind of keep that texture elsewhere as well, just as much. And then we'll just continue on moving down. With all these stray cables and connectors. I think this one might be another one of these cross-hatch ones. Like so. Aw, Liza, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next week. Crisscross, crisscross, crisscross. And then we've got another one coming through here. It's like almost like a metal Davy Jones, which is a pretty cool vibe. I kind of wanted to look like the beard was blowing majestically in the nautical winds. Thank you so much to Kaydari for the follow. I hope you enjoy the rest of the stream. Oh, my wrist just did a weird thing. I didn't like that very much. just trim these corners down a bit, just tidy them up. And one of them there. We kind of want them all to have different lengths. Don't worry, quietly for it happens. I have like some little stray wires coming off of that bottom one, I think. Just trying to mix it up a little. And then I'm just going to fill in some of the cables coming through here. Oh, it's like drawing a load of spaghetti. And I think we'll just pop in the other braided one. Again, just smoothing it out. Okay. And again, this one's tied at the bottom with whatever he had at the time. And then kind of got this ball of cables all twisted together at the bottom. And then we just got to fill in some of these gaps. And I think, given the time and how much my stomach is rumbling, this is probably a good place to leave it for today. So I will give you the Fire Genasi. There she is again. Really pleased with how she turned out. And then I will pop some links in chat for everyone. So, starting with Twitter. This is kind of my main social hub. It's when I'll be posting about when I'm streaming, or kind of if I'm doing giveaways, when commissions are opening, all that kind of stuff can be found from my Twitter. Next up, Instagram. I also have an Instagram that kind of runs alongside. I upload all my art onto there, as well as any miniature painting, costume making, all that kind of stuff. If I'm doing that, it will be on my Insta. Next up, YouTube. I have been mostly good at keeping it up to date now. Any VODs from past streams, as well as today's stream, will be up there on my YouTube in the next few days, probably. There's also a bunch of other things on there. I've got a series kind of reading through short story style some of the lore from Destiny 2, so please check that out if that sounds interesting. No Naruto fan art for you today, Elran. Very sorry. So yeah, that is YouTube. Next up, ArtStation. If you purely want to check out my portfolio, ArtStation is the place to do it. Not much more to say about it than that. And finally, Patreon. If you want to throw a bit of support my way, either subbing on Twitch or on Patreon makes a massive difference for small creators like me. It honestly is a bit of a lifeline to help with passive income. So if you are able to throw a bit of extra support, those two are the best ways to do it. If you have a Twitch Prime sub that you're not using, throwing it to a small creator will really make their day, I promise you. But yes, I think that is basically everything for today. I had a really nice time just painting with you all, so thank you so much for joining me. I will be back next week, hopefully on Wednesday at the same time. That is 5 p.m. UK time. Yeah, until then, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you all very soon. Until then, goodbye for now.